Now, there is one other form of a circle that we do sometimes use, and that is called the general form of the equation. And basically, that's when everything is multiplied out. So we don't leave the parentheses there. We actually multiply everything out, and we set one side equal to 0. So what I did, but I wanted to start a new video because sometimes this takes a little bit of time, is I want us to take the example from 5 and actually write it in general form as well. So let me just rewrite our example down. It was x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 9. So if you want to write this in the general form, basically what you need to do is just multiply it all out. So for squaring, you're going to have to actually FOIL that out. So I'm going to start with that first. So I'm going to distribute here, x times x is x squared. X times minus 2 is minus 2x. I have the same thing on the inside. And then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. I do the same thing for the y's. Y times y is y squared. Y times 4 is 4y. Same thing on the inside. And then 4 times 4 is 16. And then I still have that equal 9. And now I'm just going to go ahead and clean it up. So I have an x squared. That's done. I'm just going in order here. Y squared would be next. That's done. Now I want my x terms. So let's see. I have a minus 2x and a minus 2x, which is minus 4x. Next, I want my y terms. So I have 4y and 4y, which is 8y. Then I want my numbers. So I have a 4 and a 16, which is 20. Now I'm almost done. In general form, you do have to be equal 0. So the last thing I need to do is bring this 9 over to the other side. So it would be x squared plus y squared. Minus 4x plus 8y plus 11 equals 0. So this is the same exact equation as the one above that we did in the last example, but it's written in general form. So if you want to go to general form, you're just going to multiply everything out. Now, sometimes you may be given an example in general form, like this one here. So I'm doing a new example now. In general form, and we're going to actually work backwards and get it into standard form so that we can actually find the center and find the radius. So we want to write this in standard form. That way we'll be able to graph it because I need the center, I need the radius, and that's how I'm going to have to find it. I did make one little typo though. Sorry guys, can you fix this? It should be, if it's not fixed already on your end, this is a y squared, not a y to the 4th. So in order to get this back into standard form, you actually have to use completing the square. So think way back to when we did quadratics, that completing the square strategy is coming in now. And we actually do it twice, once for the x variable and once for the y variable. So let me walk you through the process there. This is one that you really just want to take your time on, take good notes so that you have all the steps as well here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to group your x's and your y's together, and you want to bring the number to the other side. So for instance, here's I'm going to just rewrite this, my formula or my example. So I'm going to just write my x's next to each other. So I have x squared plus 4x, and then I'm going to put my y's next to each other. Y squared minus 6y. And then I'm also going to take that 23 and I'm going to bring it to the other side. So I'm going to add 23 to both sides. And this is how I'm going to start it. I'm just using parentheses here just to show you the two groups. The parentheses aren't really doing anything right now. I'm just showing you that I've kind of grouped my x's together. I grouped my y's together. I haven't actually changed the problem though. I just rearranged things. And yeah, I was really, really careful when I rearranged. Watch your signs. That 6y is negative, so it has to be a minus sign down here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply completing the square here and here separately. So the first thing we have to do there, remember, is we have to find half of B. So in this case, my B value is this 4. So I'm looking for half of 4, which is 2, right? Half of 4 is 2. And then you're going to go ahead and square that. So I get 2 squared is 4. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I want half of this. So I find half of B. So I'm taking half of -6, which is -3. And then I'm going to square it. And I get 9. So this is what I'm going to add to both sides. And it's going to look like this. So I have the x squared plus 4x group, and I'm going to add a 4 there. Then I have my y squared minus 6y group, and I'm going to add the 9 here. On the other side, I have the 23, and then don't forget I have to add these to both sides. I'm going to add a 4, and I'm going to add a 9. So I added the 4 here and here, and then I added the 9 here and here. We have to add them to both sides to keep the equation balanced. And again, I'm kind of doing completing the square 2 times, one for the x variable, one for the y variable. So that's why I have 2 things that I'm adding here instead of just 1. Now you're going to factor. So remember that each of these factors into x plus 1/2 b squared. And this one would be y plus 1/2 of b squared. So we're going to factor those 2 parts here. I'm running out a little bit of room, but hopefully that's okay. We'll fit it in. So here I have x. Now my half b value was 2, right? So here's half of b. Here's 2. So it's going to be x plus 2 squared. And then over here, my half of b value was -3. So it's going to be y plus -3 or y minus 3 squared. And then on the other side, you do want to add these all together. So when I add these together, I'm looking at 23 plus 13, which should be 36. Finally, we're in the right form. So we are in standard form now. So this is the first part we had to do, was we had to write this in standard form. Okay, so we've done that. I do want to graph it, so I am going to have to figure out what my center and my radius are, though. So for our center, remember your center refers to these 2 values here. But you want to be careful. The formula is supposed to have minus signs in it. So if your value is a plus, you're going to use the negative instead. So my center here is -2, 3. So my h value is that -2, and my k value is the 3. Now my radius, this is my radius squared. So my radius must be 6 then, because squaring it would be 36. So what I'm doing here is I'm just matching up the standard form, which is x minus h squared, y minus k squared equals r squared. So this is very similar to what I did in the last video up here, when I was matching everything up and I was taking out that center and that radius. So remember, our radius, we match up, but you have to take the square root. So here I had a 36, the square root of 36 is 6. And then when we match up, you need to be careful. You're supposed to have a minus sign in the formula. So if you have a plus sign, then the answer must be negative for the center. And that's what I did here. So again, my radius squared was 36. So when I take the square root, I get 6. Here I have the minus sign, so that value is good, but this value has a plus sign, so it must have been a -2 instead in the problem. My center here is -2, 3, so -2, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to count out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then again, I'm just going to do my best to make a circle. There we go. I don't have a compass at home. I suppose I could do that too. If you have a compass at home, you can do that, or a protractor, anything that you can kind of use to not a protractor, like something to swing out. If you had even a piece of string, you could do that and use it to make a circle around to look a little bit nicer. But I don't have that. So I'm just going to freehand the best I can, and you guys get the idea. So this is going to be my circle, and we were able to write it in standard form and then also to graph it.